Have you ever had negative thoughts in your mind that you aren't good enough, that you'll never be successful? If so, you're not alone. I've had those thoughts playing in my mind ever since I took the leap to become an entrepreneur. It's a dirty, dark secret that no one likes to talk about, as the glamorization of becoming an entrepreneur is shown in the media. I realized that in order to succeed, I needed help. We all do. So I decided to go all in on myself, spending thousands of hours in the trenches, reading, joining groups, listening to podcasts, hiring coaches to develop a bulletproof morning routine for success. Join me on my journey as together we build our morning fire to ignite our lives as entrepreneurs. My name is Jeff Wickersham, and this is the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. Welcome to the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs show. I am extremely excited to welcome Rocky Lalvani to the show. Rocky, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. Excited to be here with you.
Absolutely. So I know we spoke. Let's go through a little breathing exercise. I do this with every of the guests. We'll change our state. We'll get a little screaming in, and then we're going to have a great discussion. Excited to dive into the concept of profit first. So we're going to do 3 breaths in through the belly, up through the chest, and raising our hands above our head. Go ahead, breathe in and out. Good. Another breath in and out. Final breath in and out. All right, now I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. We're going to yell boom at the top of our lungs and pound our chest in 3, 2, 1, and boom.
Boom.
There you go. I appreciate you playing along, Rocky. So let's get right into it. Morning habits, rituals, routines. I eat, sleep, and breathe them on a daily basis. What's your go-to morning habit or ritual that you do each and every day that sets you down that path towards success?
So I'm usually up early, before 6. My goal is to beat the alarm clock up. You know, the alarm clock means I'm late. and then first thing is gratitude, just being thankful to be alive. We're just coming out of winter, and I'll tell you, you're waking up in a, snuggly warm bed and just being happy with that. And then usually from there, what I will do is, it's funny, I empty the dishwasher. I log my morning weight into my spreadsheet. I weigh myself every morning so I know what happened. Grab a cup of coffee, and then I go back to bed. And then I have an audio that's a religious kind of recording that every day it's a different one. And so I play that, and that kind of gets me started for my day. And then I'll usually just hang out for a little bit in bed. I won't look at the electronics or anything. It's just thinking about, how lucky I am. Then I will roll out of bed and I will either hit the gym or I work out at home. So 3 days in the gym, 2 days at home. So 3 days, it's heavy lifting, squat, deadlift, bench, that kind of workouts.
Yep.
2 days at home is GMB fitness. I don't know if you've ever heard of GMB, but GMB is all about moving. So think of it, these are the kind of guys who can do the, I forget what they call it, where they're bouncing all over the place. But basically it gives you flexibility and control and strength. So think about it. These guys can do a handstand, which is okay. That's cool. But they can stop anywhere on the way into the handstand. So they might be at a 45-degree angle and they can hold that position. They've got complete body strength that's beyond belief. So I'm nowhere near them, but I at least stay in shape by creating flexibility and doing that. After that, it's shower. And then after the shower, it's I have some different things that I read. So I'll read from the Bible. I'll read Stoic philosophy. And then every so often, there'll be something else that gets thrown into there. And so that takes, 15, 20 minutes, whatever that takes. And then from there, it's time to go hit the day. But that whole process in there, you're probably looking at close to 3 hours.
Gotcha. Okay. And no distractions, no electronics other than what the audio piece that you're listening to is what I'm gathering.
Yeah. So when I go to the gym or when I work out, these days I will usually listen to an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my time where I'll just I'll hit the book, and that's what I'll pay attention to for the most part. Sometimes I'll listen to something different, but yeah, even on the car ride to the gym and on the car ride home, I won't even turn on music. I won't turn anything on. It's completely silent. So it's just, you're starting your day getting into yourself instead of the world and all its troubles.
Yeah, you're in a peaceful state, and it's quiet. You can rationalize your thoughts, go through what you're thinking about, rather than what I see is how so many people start the day, and it's chaos. The
Hmm.
moment the alarm clock goes off, we're checking phone, checking text messages, checking social media, and it's just a rabbit hole of negativity that you can go down. So I'm a huge fan of creating that space for yourself, creating that time for yourself. And it's so counterintuitive, because people say, well, isn't that selfish? You're spending the time. Absolutely not. You're showing up so much better in every aspect of your life because you're taking time for yourself.
So true.
Yep. Awesome. So I appreciate you sharing that. So let's get into to profit first in business. So I know you and I had connected on a prior Zoom call that we were on, networking call that we were on, and I love the concept that you shared. I went out and got the book. I've started implementing some of the practices. So excited to share this with my audience, because again, it's counterintuitive, but it uses some of the principles that I use in my life, just at a business financial perspective. So describe a little bit of your background, then let's get into to profit first as a concept.
So I'm an immigrant to the United States. I came here as a little kid, and as with many immigrants, we didn't have a lot of money starting off. But my parents would sit with their friends and other people who immigrated, and they would talk about money. They talk about life, and they talk about how do you build the American dream. We were always told the world was ours. Whatever you wanted, you could find. So there was never any negativity about the past. It was always, hey, you're in the land of opportunity and you have great success. And it was just expected. I never realized that other people didn't talk about money. So, when I was a kid, I decided I wanted to be a millionaire. I wanted to be a millionaire for all the wrong reasons, to be rich and have all this stuff. And on that journey, I learned the money wasn't going to make me happy, which is a whole nother story. But when I got out, I'm always looking around in my 20s and 30s. I'm like, why aren't there more people with wealth? Why is everyone struggling? And I came to learn that people are not taught money at home. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, school didn't teach me money. I have a Bachelor of Science in Economics and an MBA. Neither of those programs taught me how to build wealth and build money. What actually allowed me to build wealth was to automate all my savings. And so I had systems in place from the day I walked out of college and got my first job to make sure that every dollar had a job, and I would send it to go do its job, which is the same principles of profit first and what Mike talks about in his book.
Yeah, and I love a couple things there. One, the concept and how you were growing up, and the world is ours mentality, right? That you can do anything, and that you're actually speaking about money and having conversations about it, because I know some of the money limitations that I have struggled with was hearing money doesn't grow on trees, or seeing somebody driving a fancy car and hearing it must be nice, right? And it was almost that negative
Mhm.
connotation or association with money. So definitely refreshing to hear the world is ours, and that was kind of the mantra of the family.
And if you take a moment to ask yourself that question of money is, or what did you learn about money growing up, you will start to realize that those just same things that you just mentioned, there's so many similar ones that will pop up in people's heads. And if you believe them, you are really going to struggle, because if you think rich people are evil, you're never going to have money because you don't want to be evil.
Right.
And that's just the reality of it.
Right. No, it goes against how we're wired, right? You don't want to be evil, you don't want to be a liar, and if you associate that, then that's going to be a block you have internally in your subconscious that you're never going to get past, and you will struggle. So profit first in business, right? let's unpack that a little bit and explain how it can benefit an entrepreneur, solopreneur, somebody that's new to the business game, or somebody that's been struggling, right? Paying themselves last.
So this was an eye-opening thing for me. I was shocked to learn that the majority of business owners, and by majority, we're talking 80 to 90% of business owners, don't understand the business of business. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here? Right? It was another one of those aha moments. And two things came to mind. Number one, business owners went into business not to do business, but to do what they loved. And number two, most of them weren't in the business of accountants. So why would they want to look at their financials? Again, those scripts that we talked about with money and how people behave with money, well, they carry over into the business as well. And so you do really have to look at those. So I realized that business owners were really struggling with this whole situation of looking at their financials and understanding them. And part of it is if you look at your accounting reports and how they're created and why they're created, they aren't created for the business owner. They are created for the government, for the IRS, so that they can tax you. And they're created for banks so they can figure out whether you're lendable. But they're not designed to make you profitable. And that's why the equation is wrong. So Mike, who wrote the book Profit First, said he got an aha moment to change the equation. Everyone knows the equation is sales minus expenses equals profit. So where does that leave profit? Last. It's a leftover. Mike said we got to change the equation. So he changed it to sales minus profit equals expenses. And if you think about it, when you started your business, you expected to be profitable. You might have made a business plan, and on there you said, okay, I'm going to have a 10% profit margin. The problem is nobody's putting their profit aside. And more often than not, they're spending it. Most business owners don't even know whether or not they're profitable until tax time. They go to their accountant. Accountant says, congratulations, you're profitable. Here's how much you owe in taxes, which causes two questions from the business owner. The first is, where is that money? And the accountant just laughs at him and says, well, you spent it. It's just paper profit, right? And then the second question is, how am I supposed to pay that tax bill? I don't have that kind of money, and they freak out. And so Profit First actually fixes both of those things, because you start taking your profit first, you put it in a separate account, so you always know how much profit you have and you know that you're profitable. And if you decide to spend your profit, well, you'll know because you're cheating and you're stealing from your profit account and you're spending it. The other thing is we also set up a tax account. And so the tax account, when tax time comes, no matter how bad it is, all of the people who use Profit First go, we still hate tax time, but we no longer have anxiety at tax time because whatever the tax bill is, there's money in my tax account to cover it. And then, of course, it follows through that you should pay yourself first. And so that's another principle of taking your pay up front first. They talk about the airplane, you get the safety message, which is when the oxygen masks fall, put it on yourself first before you help anybody else. Mm-hmm. Before you can help your business or anyone else, you have to help yourself and make sure you are strong, which means you need to pay yourself first so that you have the ability to do that. Because if you're struggling at home and your spouse is screaming at you and there's no money, your business is just going to struggle.
Yeah, no, and I love that. Couple great pieces of value there was one, financial statements are really created and for the IRS for tax time and for banks to know if you're lendable. They're not made for the business owner, the entrepreneur to really understand the business. And then, I as you're talking through it, I cringe a little bit related to the tax discussion because I own properties with my brother. He works for a company and he's always asking me where taxes are. Well, I kind of delay on putting it in because I don't know. And I haven't known in the past whether a big tax bill is going to come due, right? Just to your example. So taking action on Mike's book, creating some accounts earlier in the week, allocating out some for tax. To your point, come tax time, and I know I'm going to have a bucket in there that I can pay the taxes with. I'll I'll do it early in January compared to April 14th when I'm cringing about it. So that's definitely a powerful concept for people to understand and to allocate those percentages, take that income off the top, delegate out some percentages related to profit. And then, expenses are a huge thing. And I will say in my gym business that I closed down last fall due to COVID, I struggled looking at the numbers. I had a credit card that I was running expenses, and I spent too much from an expense perspective, where I love profit first concept of delegating a percentage for expenses. And I'm a huge fan of Parkinson's Law. And if you want to touch on that a little bit, you can, where expenses only take up what you have to spend. So you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. Parkinson's Law basically states that you will use up all the resources allocated. So in business, we are told incorrectly that you have to spend money to make money. That is not true. There are ways to do it without spending money. We say you don't need more resources, you need to be more resourceful. So Parkinson's Law comes back to the simple principle that however much time or money is allocated, you will use it up. So if you come to me and say, hey, I want to start a gym. Okay, what's your budget and how quickly do we need to start? If you say $100,000 in 6 months, we'll spend $100,000 and we'll take 6 months to build the business. But if you tell me, hey, I've got 10 grand and I want to be goaling in 3 weeks, you'll find a way to do it with 10 grand in 3 weeks. And so the more you can constrain your time and your money, the better the results you get. Now, people go, well, you can't constrain it that much. You know what? There's another principle, which is the 80-20 rule that we all know, the Pareto principle. 20% of what you do produces 80% of the results, which means 40% of what you do creates 96% of the results. The other 60% of your time and money is wasted for very little return. The goal is to work on your business, not in your business, and figure out the 60% of time and money that you are wasting and get rid of it. And so as you start to do that, you can make your business more profitable. And as part of that, it's also to look at your pricing. Business owners are afraid to raise prices. But the reality is, if you underprice, you will never, ever be profitable. You will always struggle. And if you underprice, people will undervalue you. And so you have to appropriately do both of those things.
Absolutely. Love both of those. And thank you for explaining Parkinson's Law, because it definitely is amazing how that works. And when you have an awareness of it, and that's one of the things I love to share with my audience, is making people aware of things. Because if you have an awareness, all of a sudden you can start connecting those dots. And wait a second, I gave myself an hour and a half to do something today. It took an hour and a half, where yesterday it took me 15 minutes because I had a meeting. Why is that? Well, connect those dots. That is Parkinson's Law from a time perspective. So very, very powerful. So what would be one or two recommendations for someone that is struggling from a profit perspective, from a financial perspective in their business? What are a couple things they can do right off the bat to draw the line in the sand and say, all right, I'm starting to move forward?
So number one, go open one bank account and name it your profit account. And every month, take 1% of your sales and put it in your profit account. And after 3 months, look at your profit account and see how much extra money that you would have wasted. And if it didn't hurt you, and more than likely it didn't, because you won't miss $1 out of 100, up it to 2%. And that just gets you into the habit of taking profit and being profitable. The next thing you do is go through your bank statements and your credit card statements and just start looking line by line and ask yourself, does this help me deliver my product to my customer? Is it needed to serve my customer? And if it's not, then start questioning why you're spending it. There's a lot of automated things that we sign up for that we stop using that still hit our credit card every month and we forget about it. There's software that we're overpaying for because we bought the top tier and we use the bottom tier services. So go through and just challenge every single line item of your spending and ask yourself, do I really need to do this? And is it really serving me? Or is it just money going out the door and making someone else rich?
Yeah, I love both of those, and opening up that other account, that profit account, right? And understanding that you're going to be diligent in putting it in there. And then what is it? What's the concept? Maybe once a quarter, you pull 50% out and you continue to build that.
You can, and that's a full profit first implementation to start taking it out. Right now, I just want you to see the money building enough that you'll take $20 out and go buy Mike's book and learn the process. Or you'll listen to my podcast and you'll learn the process. I just want to get you started with the least amount of friction. There's a whole bunch more that goes on, but today it's just about getting started and realizing that there is a different way to do things. But yeah, in the book, Mike's got bank accounts for your profit, for your pay, for your taxes. We set up percentages. There's targets. There's a whole bunch more stuff. It's all easy to do. And this is not like most of the systems you are sold, where you have to spend thousands of dollars and buy software and do this and do that. Literally, everything you need can be found in the book. Everything you need, I teach on my podcast. You don't need us. You can start on your own if you're just willing to take the time to learn and listen and go.
I love keeping it simple and straightforward, right? Just 1% to start. It's very similar to how I coach and my clients related to routines, habits. Start small so you can build it up. You can start to feel that progress, and then continue to build over time, rather than starting out like gangbusters and not really sticking with it, right? Because long term is the key equation in it. Awesome. So where can Rocky, where can people find you? Where can they find your podcast?
Best place to find me is profitcomesfirst.com. And the podcast is Profit Answer Man. So wherever you listen to your podcast, just type in Profit Answer Man and it will pop up.
Awesome. And I know you want to give provide a giveaway to the audience.
Oh, yeah. So if you go to profitcomesfirst.com, you'll see a link there to get 2 free chapters of Mike's book. So again, we're giving you all this free stuff. As part of that, along with the 2 free chapters, I will send you tools, and I will send you the entire rollout plan of how to do this. So we're giving it all away for free. There's no upsells. You'll get a handful of emails, and then I stop bugging you. I hate getting a million emails, and so I won't do that to anyone.
Love it. And I am a full supporter in Rocky and Mike's book. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. I've implemented some of it, and it's already started to change my habits and how I'm looking at my business and making sure it's profitable. I'm taking a piece from an income perspective, but also allocating for profit and taxes in the future. So incredibly powerful stuff. Rocky, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast to join you today.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing rest of your day. Rise, fight, love, repeat. Get after it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. You now have the knowledge, but without action, knowledge is useless. Choose to act. Choose to step into your greatness and unlock that hero inside of you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review so more entrepreneurs can hear this message. If you absolutely love this podcast, which I hope you do, then share it up with someone you know who might see benefit from it. Become that beacon of change, and together we can impact the world.